the original versions of the vehicles had petrol engines. The petrol engine was pretty much a Jaguar type car in the 1960s. It was a perfect shape to fit down the side by the driver. But you can see one of the great advantages of these. Positions for the military, and you can see on the back it's got one of those classic military items that's been around since Roman times, the fasci. That, in this case, is a bundle of plastic drain pipe tied together. That's how they use a fasci nowadays. In the old days, think World War II, First World War tanks, it tended to be wood. Piles of chestnut paling wired together that could be dropped into a hole, so it also helps with looks like a mini bridging equipment. The idea being the military call it gap crossing. You need ways to be able to cross streams, rivers, or places where they've blown up bridges. Dozer blades are needed in urban settings. More and more dozer blades. So again, a lot of Challenger 2s. Being able to fit it with the dozer blades gives a little bit of air armour protection at the front, but more importantly, you can be doing things like pushing broken down cars, vehicles, etc. out the way so you can progress through urban areas. Now Titan there, the bridge layer, it's got a crew of 3. 1,200 brake horsepower engine you're listening to there. Pushing it along, weighs about 62 tonnes. It's a big heavy vehicle, which again, that's another thing that all the reconnaissance guys have to look out for. How are you going to get 62 tonnes worth of vehicle where it's needed? So that's another role of the vehicle like the Jaguar when they're doing that scouting and so it's another one of the all these buzzwords or ECM, they don't never like quite revealing what exactly everything's doing, but the idea is you can put an electronic bubble around your vehicle, and it can also help detect.
Ladies and gentlemen, as we prepare for the official opening of Tank Fest by the man who's been confirmed today allegedly to be the new James Bond, it is Director of the Tank Museum Richard Smith in his very fast-paced vehicle. It's the Boxer. Fest 2019. As these vehicles make their way out, you'll hear the roar of the Jag Panther, and I'm privileged to be joined by Mike Gibb from the Well Foundation, also going to be joined me. Since 1960s, he's the German equivalent in terms of his knowledge of the German army, and then we're talking you through the Jag Panther as it goes round the arena shortly.
You can see the flash.
Yeah, the blue stuff. Yeah.
The side. Good morning, everybody. The Jagdpanther you're about to see took 10 years to restore. The history of it, I'll just go over that very quickly. It was assembled in mid to late March 1945 and was actually issued to its ultimate unit on the 30th of March 1945. How this made its way from Zennerlager, major railhead, onto the trains to be issued to the 116th Panzer Division in early April is quite amazing. Anyway, it went into action on its first day against the Americans, lasted
500 meters. So before the is look at some of the vehicles that took part in the D-Day landings, and we've got quite a good representative collection here. The first one into the arena is the Jeep, be one of the best known military vehicles of all time, known as the quarter-ton 4x4 in American speak, but basically a feed car with four-wheel drive, seats for 4 people, but used for just about every imaginable thing you can think of on the battlefield. And they never made at least a go at making enough of. They built large numbers of them, and they were very effective. Now this vehicle is unusual. It's a Morris light reconnaissance car. And again, it takes a 3-man crew in this case. The driver sits in the middle, and it is, I can tell you because I've driven one, horribly uncomfortable to drive because your legs stick out horizontally in front of you. It's very, that only applies to American vehicles, it doesn't. The White Star was the Allied recognition sign for D-Day, and all vehicles of whatever nationality but on our side all wore the White Star to identify them. Now the vehicle coming around behind me at the moment is the Daimler armoured car. It's basically a scaled up version of the Daimler Dingo. It has a 6-cylinder Daimler engine at the back, a turret, a revolving turret mounting a 2-pounder gun, and normally carries a crew of 3, 2 in the turret. It's a treat to drive really once you get the hang of it. Now there are 2 vehicles coming round at the moment. One of them is an American half-track. In particular, it's the M60. With quadruple Brownings in a rotating mount on the back. It's designed as an anti-aircraft vehicle, but because the Luftwaffe was nowhere to be seen much on D-Day, there wasn't really much aerial activity at all. But they were used as anti-personnel weapons. But the basic vehicle, the half-track, was extremely common. They were American built.
A bit of welling to be able to actually put them all around the place. Early days, they were hugely thirsty. You were not so you'll see inside the museum we've got one of these mono trailers, which is one of the ideas. You carry extra fuel behind you that they used early on. The types of some of the different roles. The chieftain is going to take on the cruisers together. They sort of sit on seats that face you, so got individuals things that like benches along the sides that are fitting in. Nowadays, of course, everyone has harnesses to hold you in the seat. And in its original configuration and the idea behind it, the British Army doesn't really like the soldiers or program of their own. Initially it's called the Standard Panzer, but then it goes on to be called the Leopard, and of course when it's replaced with Leopard 2, this is therefore Leopard 1. Now Leopard 1, the idea engine, you can see that inside the museum, and then over 1,000 and the idea being it was going to have a new 1,200 diesel Condor diesel engine, so rather than something and in the end about 789 of these Warrior vehicles, as they became known, were built for the British Army, and another 254 for the Kuwaiti. MTU diesel in there, you can see also the crane on the side. So that itself, see the screen drive Leopard around, because the hull itself is relatively light, and you're looking at something that's around about just under 40 tons overall. That blade on the front to help anchor it again, so if you're going to be winching, another Leopard around, and again you've got the crane on the side. And again in German Army service, these were now out of service, but quite a number of countries bought them. The Dutch military ended up with 52. They've still got some in service there.
Amazing. You can literally turn it from one user to another in 30 minutes, and that must be really useful in its design and quite challenging.
Yes, it is being designed to be very adaptive, even when it's used by different countries. If every country has the same driving module, the combat modules can be converted to each other, giving us some great effectiveness in the battlefield.
And I suppose it also means that you don't have redundant vehicles that you don't need to use. You can make sure that they're all in service all the time. You can really see the speed of that vehicle. It really is quite awesome to be that close to that moving around. Over 700 brake horsepower in that vehicle. Stefan, thank you so much indeed for talking to us. I'm just going to nip across to speak to Chris, because the other vehicle that you can see is very special as well, with its just a reminder, if you are taking pictures, which I know lots of you are, and any video, do make sure when you upload that to social media you use the hashtag TankFest2019.
And it was affecting the vehicle's performance, and that's exactly what ATPU are out to do. Play with the vehicle, they test it, they see if it's got a reliability or will it interfere with anything else on the weapon system or the mechanics of the vehicle before it goes out to the field army. I say bog standard, actually it's still a very, very impressive looking bit of kit. This is the tank that the British Army were much more after. I mentioned earlier about Challenger 1. Challenger 2 brought a number of features that the Army were much more keen on. It was really a private venture by Vickers Defence at the time. Vickers were very much aware Challenger.
We're skydivers, so we are inherently show-offs. They can hear you from under canopy. You see the Union flag there flying, that's being flown by Lieutenant Andy Swaffield. He's one of the biggest show-offs on the team, so when he comes into land, he does require a huge round of applause.
Yes.
First down is going to be Lance Corporal Chris Sharman. He's our jump master for today. He's going to hook a 180 in, or hook a 90-degree turn in there, get himself on a good line. Pulls a nice big flare. Textbook landing. Big round of applause for Chris there. Next we've got Major Tom Owen.
Drugi podchodzi.
Taking it nice and steady, nice. Oh, there.
Wrócił się.
Hey, looking now, we've got Lieutenant Andy Swaffield coming in the Union flag. Remember what I said, he's the biggest show off, he does need a big round of applause. Flying the Union flag does present himself a little bit more difficulty because he's got some weight dragging from behind him. Then we got Staff Sergeant Graham Glass. Beautiful landing. Directly above me now we've got Sergeant Seatnuts, I believe. Yeah, that's Sue. Come on, Sue. Beautiful landing, Sue. And here we go, Craftsman Andy Thomas coming in now. Beautiful. And followed by Captain Lauren Barr. There we go. By the ground, he's got a few divots, so it does make it technically difficult for the jumpers, but what is...
The Jackal sights an enemy minefield. He is now probing the minefield to assess its size, type, and for any gaps. In addition, he will be looking for rendezvous locations for the engineers to move into prior to clearing the minefield if required.
Foxtrot 2 and Alpha, sighting minefield. Wait out. Hello, 0, this is Foxtrot 2 and Alpha, sighting.
Conducted without the recce group being detected or destroyed.
Hello, Foxtrot 2 to Alpha, this is 0. Move now to the area of Warkey to look for an area of Roadwatch to support the engineer assets. Over. Foxtrot 2 to Alpha, roger all.
See the Challenger 2 moving into a pre-wrecked area to overwatch the engineers as they clear the minefield. The engineers are using Trojan which is fitted with a mine plough and tows the Python minefield breaching system. It fires a single rocket from a tow launcher with the explosive packed hose. It can clear a 200 metre by 7.3 metre lane in a minefield with up to 9% of mine speed. Typhoon has been deployed operationally with Trojans in Afghanistan. Whilst in Overwatch, the Challenger 2 sights in-depth enemy position.
Hello Zero, this is Panzer 31 Alpha, sighting enemy, wait out. Hello Zero, this is Panzer 31 Alpha, sighting at 1530 hours, grid, Sierra Uniform 370575, in-depth enemy position, I'm observing, over. Zero, roger out.
Rapid exploit through the gap in the minefield and continue to lead the advance to contact. They will look to confirm the enemy sighting and identify possible battle group form-up positions and line of departure locations. The Scimitar 2 command confirms the enemy bunker position and marks the FUP ready for the battle group attack.
Hello Zero, this is Foxtrot 2 to Alpha, FUP grid, Sierra Uniform 270570, over. Zero, roger out.
Battle Group HQ is formulating an attack secure orders card to inform all in the battle group of the enemy's strength and location, who will conduct the attack and the timing of each hour. Key to this activity will be the fire planning cell, who will prepare a fire mission in support of the attack. As well as mortars and AS-90 artillery, they may also call upon Apache attack helicopters or fast air support if it is available.
In order to conduct intimate support to Yankee 10. Over. Panzer 2 Alpha, roger all.
The battle group will be widely dispersed for protection. At this stage, the armoured squadron and the armoured infantry company will be manoeuvring, ready to move into the forming up point, FUP. That he is one of the intimate support tanks. His role is to lead a warrior platoon onto the enemy objective and provide intimate fire support and protection to the warriors and the dismounts. The remainder of the armoured squadron will provide fire support from a separate location.
Hello Charlie 1, this is Zero, H hour in 3, 2, 1, go, go, go.
The warrior is equipped to protect the infantry dismounts from the enemy fire as they rapidly advance to the enemy objective, and then to provide fire support with his own 30mm Raden cannon and coaxial 7.62mm L94 chain gun as the dismounted troops fight through the position. Ladies and gentlemen, that's the end of the battle. We are just going to be handing over to Steve in the arena for the taking of those.
Ladies and gentlemen, round of applause for the fantastic display you've just seen. Or not, depending on how smoky it was where you were. So, ladies and gentlemen, we are honoured today to be joined by the Queen's representative for Dorset. Very exciting on Forces Weekend.
Thank you. As Her Majesty's representative of Dorset, and I know she would be pleased to be reminded you're all here today, it's a great honour for me to be here, particularly at the weekend of Armed Forces.
And said, let's make some form of overarching body for all these new regiments that now serve. Tanks in World War I. That becomes the Royal Army. And it's announced on April 4th, 1939 by the then War Minister, Hall Rishi,
Ladies and gentlemen, Germany, early May 1945. Hitler is dead and the German army is disintegrating under constant Allied attacks from both east and west. Confusion abounds and meeting engagements are occurring as units stumble into each other.
The Canadian Royal Engineers, and he ends up having the first go at converting a Churchill into what becomes the Churchill Avery. Armoured Vehicle Royal Engineers, Petard mortar on the top, and you've got a fantastic bunker busting vehicle. And of course they added everything else, fascines, small box girder bridges, all sorts of things, bobbin, trackway, specialised armour on the Churchill for the 79th Armoured Division. So the Churchill has a later life as well, famously with a automatic weapon system that can knock out other tanks. By the post-war era, the ideas of tanks being in those sections, like we said earlier, infantry.
się trawa pali.